warm summer's day, you will find Thomas the Tank Engine puffing happily down the line. Today, however, was not one of these days. There was someone that Thomas didn't want to bump into. "Oh, I hope he's not there," Thomas complained to his driver. Unfortunately, he was. Next to where the road was being repaired, George sat looking annoyed. As soon as he saw Thomas, he began to complain. "And where have you been?" he grumbled. "No wonder you engines are on the way out. A lorry could get here in twice the time." "A lorry couldn't have brought you all of this in one trip," wheezed Thomas. "You should be grateful." "Bah!" George retorted. "I don't say thank you to scrap iron." Later that day, George was still cross. "Railways are no good, turn them into roads," he chanted even louder. He was so cross that he wasn't paying attention. Suddenly, there was a crunch as the rail was flattened by George's steamroller wheels. "Oops," he said. Just then he heard a whistle in the distance. "He's going to derail. I think it would be best if I weren't here," he thought as he quietly skulked away. Then there was trouble. Building supplies laid across the track, and a surprised Arthur sat in the middle of it all. No one knew how it happened, except George, as he disappeared from view with a grin on his face. It wasn't long until Thomas arrived to help clear the mess. But as the breakdown cranes cleared the mess, another visitor arrived. "If you're here to make fun of Arthur again," Thomas crossly began, but Gordon stopped him. "I wouldn't dream of it," said Gordon sheepishly. "We're friends now," smiled Arthur. "Then why are you here?" Thomas asked. "I've got a message from the Fat Controller," Gordon replied. "Arthur is to be sent for repairs, and you, Thomas, must work at the village." Thomas looked disappointed. He wasn't looking forward to working with fish again. The next day, Thomas had a miserable day. He hated fish, and having to spend all day around them only made him more grateful to have Arthur around. "I don't know what Arthur sees in these stinky fish," he complained. He missed the countryside, he missed Annie and Clarabelle, and he even missed the trucks. "At least they aren't slimy," he muttered. His driver tried to cheer him up. "You're being a really useful engine. I'm sure that Arthur will appreciate the help." This made Thomas feel a little better. Meanwhile, George wasn't having a good day either. With Thomas working at the fishing village, there was no one to bring him the supplies. As he drove along the road, he rocked from side to side. Suddenly, he swerved into a pothole. "Where is that Thomas?" he complained to a nearby worker. "He says about how useful he is, and then doesn't turn up. When I see that lazy, useless It's not Thomas's fault," interrupted the worker. "He's had to take over Arthur's jobs because of yesterday's incident." George stopped complaining at once. "It's my fault," he muttered to himself. "I should have never knocked into those rails." "So it was you," replied the worker. He had heard everything. George widened his eyes. What I mean is, I shall speak to the Fat Controller at once." When he arrived, he was very cross. It would seem that wherever you go, there is always some confusion and delay. When will you learn to only flatten the things you are told to? My railway is not your playground. Yes, sir, stammered George, but nothing, snapped the Fat Controller. I shall put you where even you'll find it difficult to cause any damage, and you'll stay there until I can decide what to do with you. For months, George sat in a field unable to do anything. Engines would often pass and make fun of him. He didn't feel so important now. Eventually, after promising that he'd behave, he was able to work again. And for a while, George didn't cause any trouble. Watch what you're doing, you useless puffball! What? Railways are no good! Turn them into roads! 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 Railways are no... Oh! Maybe one day his good behaviour will last. Oh, Christ! Oh, Christ! Oh, fucking hell! Oh, you son of a bitch!